please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Good to see there's a bit of a recovery that we're seeing on the index. Well, we've recovered nearly around 40 points from the low point of the day, and select stocks are doing quite well. IDBI Bank, that stock is up nearly around 50% in the last 1 month. If you pull up a 1 month chart, you'll see that's really what's happened over there. UPL as well has seen a bit of recovery from the low point of the day, and the Nifty is holding back above the 10,350. Ekta, I don't know whether it's short-lived, but good to see a bit of a fight at least.
Yes, absolutely. Your point is taken on IDBI Bank. That stock is up around 11%. But a couple of other stocks which really catch your eye from the broader markets include a couple of these mid-cap pharmaceutical stocks. They only catch your eye simply because of what's happening to the likes of Aurobindo within the Nifty space. But likes of Jubilant Life as well as a couple of others such as Eris Life Sciences is seeing some amount of buying. So up around 2 to 3% for those stocks. Mid-cap IT also doing quite well. So Mindtree, for example, is up around 2.3%. And we're seeing some amount of traction coming in to a couple of stocks such as TCS and TechM from the frontline IT space. Again, that seems to be the theme which is really playing out today. But let's take you through all of the top stories that we're tracking this afternoon, and then we'll get talking about all of the queries that our viewers have as well. We're tracking this afternoon, but we have Gaurang Shah joining in on the fundamentals and Prakash Gaba to answer all of your stock queries on the technicals. Afternoon, gentlemen. Well, let's get going in terms of the first question that we have. Rahul Kumar calls us from Hyderabad with a query. He has investments in Balakrishna Industries. Hi, Rahul.
Yeah, hello, madam. Hello, sir.
Hi.
I'm having Balakrishna Industries 50 shares at the rate 1093.
Okay.
I wanted to know about medium-term target. Like I'm an investor.
Okay, so how long are you okay with holding it for?
About 1 year.
Okay, you're okay with holding it for a year. Gaurang, what would you recommend? Because Rahul is currently sitting on a profit when it comes to Balakrishna. Do you think that maybe he should hold on for another, his outlook is for another year, or maybe take the profits and reinvest it somewhere else?
Good afternoon, Ekta. We had a positive coverage a while back on Balkrishna Industries, but since our targets have reached at the current valuation where the stock is trading, we have advised a reduce or a sell or a profit booking on Balkrishna Industries. So prudent to possibly move your investment if you want to stay invested in tire sector itself. Then our view is that from a long-term point of view, at current valuation, C8 would be a preferred pick. Not that we are negative on other tire manufacturing companies, but since he's in profit and we have our targets are in place, I think prudent to maybe switch over to C8 in the auto ancillary stroke tire manufacturing.
Okay, all right. Prakash, your take?
Two things. I don't know his time frame. If it's short-term time frame, take the money off the table. It doesn't hurt. But if it's medium-term or long-term, then he can re-enter again at closer to around 850, 950 zone. That's a place where I feel there's a very strong support zones. If it comes there, re-enter. Who stops from re-entering as well?
Okay, all right. So that's on Balakrishna Industries. Just want to point out that Sun Pharmaceuticals is now seeing an uptake. In fact, it's up around 2% as we speak. It's down. It's off 3.5% from the day's low. There is an expectation and a lot of reports that maybe those 3 observations which they have received on the Halol plant is probably expected to be milder in nature and probably something that the company could resolve quite easily. Just to put it into perspective, I think they had received over 20 observations in 2014 when they were initially inspected. Then that reduced to around 9 observations in last of December of 2016, and then they got re-inspected recently, which was in Feb of 2018, and they've received 3 observations then. So the street is very optimistic that maybe Halol could probably see the light of day. But Nigel, the contribution itself for the Halol facility has reduced all the way to around 11% as opposed to over 20% earlier. So what it used to hold in terms of the kind of importance, it doesn't hold as much. Nonetheless, it would be a huge sentiment positive along with, yes, a fundamental positive when and if the Halol plant does get cleared. So we'll wait by for the official document to come through.
Absolutely.
And see those
I think most of the new
observations.
launches as well will be coming out of Halol as well. And
But
I think
they've already made a lot of transfers to other facilities, because you don't know what might happen with the particular facility. It could not remain the same in terms of the FTA compliance issues, etc. So you want to mitigate the risk and you want to transfer it to different facilities.
Absolutely.
And they have been doing that. So that is something that they've already been doing for many quarters. And that's the reason why you're seeing the contribution of that plant come down as compared.
Absolutely. It'll be interesting to see if and when the clearance does come about, what happens to the stock, because even at 550 rupees, it's trading at around 22 to around 23 times. So just keep that in mind as well. But we've got another query. We have Shreya, who writes to us from Kerala. She holds around 5,000 shares of Indiabulls Real Estate at around 93 rupees since the last year. Short-term investor, though, wants to know whether or not to hold or to sell. Indiabulls Real Estate, Prakash, bought it at around 93 rupees. Good entry point. I think that would be sometime, in March 2017 itself, or April 2017. Your take money off the table?
Time to party.
Yeah.
Yeah, exit.
Exit.
Absolutely clear-cut exit. If he wants to re-enter, who stops from re-entering? 150 could be again a zone to re-enter if one wants to. But meantime, take the money off the table. Party.
Well, let's get in a couple of more queries now. We have Ravi, who calls in from Mumbai with a question. He has investments in Apollo Tyres. Hi, Ravi.
Hey, yeah. Hello.
Hi.
Yes. See, I have almost 500 shares of Apollo of 200. Actually, I've had taken for a long-term one. So I wanted to know whether I should still stick for that, or I need to switch over to some other stock then.
Okay, so you want to know if you should hold on or whether you should switch to another stock?
Yes, yes.
Okay, and if you hold on to this particular investment, how long, what is your horizon? What is your time horizon of holding on?
It is more than 2 years.
Okay, you don't mind holding on for more than 2 years. Gaurang, what would you recommend to Ravi on his holding in Apollo Tyres?
Well, Ekta, I would first of all, advise him that if you're looking at 2-year time horizon, and if you are in a good stock as an investment, I don't think you should be in any hurry to book out profits and jump onto another stock. The beauty of staying invested long term is you end up getting great returns as well. Now, he bought in at 200, the stock is trading at somewhere close to about 260, so you're getting more than 25% on your investment. But we are extremely positive, as we were discussing about Balakrishna Industries and see it earlier, Ekta. And the best part is that the rubber prices have come down and they are likely to stay down, and so is the crude oil prices. So, and for the Indian tire manufacturing companies, domestic market is robust, replacement market is great, and equally big is the opportunity as far as exports are concerned. So stay invested, don't be in a hurry to book out.
Okay, all right, stay invested, don't be in a hurry to book out. That's the advice that's coming in there from Gaurang. Prakash, your take?
I think it's hold, because structurally it's still positive, trading at new high zones. Might see a dip, who cares if it comes? In fact, I would say 230 seems to be a very strong support zone, so stay invested.
Okay, all right, then hold at current levels is the view that's coming in there from Prakash. Well, we've got a bit of a recovery on the Nifty, so good to see. From the lows, we're up closer to around 40 points. Let's see which stock is fighting for us. We have the likes of Vedanta that's recovered a tad bit from the lows. Mahindra and Mahindra as well as up close to around 1%. I think the Nifty Bank, that's a big outperformer today. That's down only 0.2%. When the Nifty is down close to around 1%, that's good going. I think IndusInd Bank as well as HDFC Bank, both of them have recovered. Good recovery being seen on the Nifty Bank as well. I think HDFC Bank, that should be the culprit in there with IndusInd Bank. Is what we are seeing. Let's see whether or not we can hold on to those levels. 10,375 is the level we're looking at. HDFC Bank was fighting for the bulls in the last few minutes. IndusInd Bank as well did quite well. And L&T as well. I think the intraday chart should come up for you of that one as well. These have larger weightage on the indices, so when they move, in fact, that helps the Nifty to recover a tad bit. Also keep your eye out on Bajaj Finserv. Remember, that comes into the Nifty at the end of this month, and that stock, in fact, has seen a big surge in the last few minutes. Bajaj Finserv is the stock that I'm talking about. Big one, big move is what we're seeing on that stock as well. But I think we have our next caller who's with us, so we'll get back to checking on the market. For the time being, we have a query that comes in from Hyderabad. In fact, Sunidhi Prasad is the name of our viewer. She holds around 2,000 shares of Reliance Communications at 40 rupees for the last 10 months. Long-term investor, wants to know whether or not to hold or sell. Prakash, technically what goes on here? I mean, sitting on a bit of a loss. Your advice?
I wouldn't want to be in the stock, but it's holding it. Just continue holding it. Have a stop below 26, and maybe closer to when it goes up, exit. I wouldn't like to be in the stock.
Okay, so that's on Reliance Communication. We have another query now. Tarun Gupta writes to us from Delhi, holds 500 shares of Punjab National Bank or PNB at 120 since the past 10 days. He's a long-term investor and wants to know whether to hold or sell. Gaurang, you know, this is not the first time that we've received queries on PNB in the past couple of weeks, but what would you recommend at this point to this query? 500 shares at 120.
I think, there are a lot of retail investors who have actually got sucked into this entire public sector bank post the recapitalization plan. And since then, you've seen, almost 30-40% getting eroded. And with Punjab National Bank, it is more than, I think, 70-80%. This is a classic case. Unfortunately, Ekta, what we don't know still is the exact amount. The investigation is still on. Maybe it might stay here. Maybe it might, go up. But the fact of the matter, Ekta, is that the fourth quarter numbers for most of the PSU banks are going to be a disaster. Let's be very honest and face it. And equally, I think disturbing will be the next fiscal numbers with the policy changes, etc. that is put in place. And I don't think anybody should, rush into PNB just because it has corrected 40% as a value buying, etc. If you want to stay with public sector banks, then I think State Bank of India and Indian Bank would be a preferred choice. But let me say this, Ekta, that because of news flow, the entire public sector bank as well as private sector banking is going to go through a little bit turmoil and rough weather. But again, prudent to be into State Bank or an Indian Bank, or stick with larger private sector banks which are relatively, lesser volatile and give you great returns over a longer period of time.
All right. Prakash, would you have a view on this one?
Weak. Exit.
Exit. All right. Keeping it plain and simple then. So PNB is an exit as per what Prakash says technically. By the way, before we slip into a short break, pull up TD Palm. That stock suddenly, I think volumes are picking up. Not very high volumes normally. But that stock is suddenly up close to around 6% the last few minutes. I don't know whether there's any news flow, but suddenly that stock as well.
100 points lower for the Nifty, and Hindalco continues to be a top loser at this point. So that stock is now down 4.5%, and we have Tata Motors, which is following suit. That stock down around 4%. A couple of other stocks which stand out include Reliance Industries too, which is pressured. So that stock is currently down around 2.5%. In fact, I think it slipped below its 50-day moving average of 930 odd rupees. But let's get in one last query then. We have Madhusudan, who writes to us from Andhra Pradesh. He wants to know the future of Reliance Infra for the short term. Okay, so Prakash, short term. So I'm going to ask you first on the technicals.
Well, short term, I think certainly is weak. Basically, the structure is weak, is falling down. I think it can see a slide around 400 zones. Exit.
Okay. Exit. That's the advice that's coming in there. But I think we had. All right. Let's ask Gaurang. Gaurang, your take on it?
Hi, Nigel. Well, I think, if you want to play the infra, then first of all, I mean, if you want to trade short term, you need to be very specific and careful what sectors and stock you select. And I don't think infra is a sector wherein you can have a short term view. In my view is long term, if you want to play the infra theme, then KNR Constructions is the company that I would recommend. And the third quarter number that KNR Constructions came out with, Nigel, were stellar set of numbers, and on all parameters they beat our expectations. So I would prefer KNR Constructions, but again, with a 1.5-2 year time horizon.
Okay, all right. Thanks so much, Gaurang, and thanks, Prakash, for joining in and helping us out with all those queries. Well, the Nifty is still down close to around 100 points. The mid-cap index is down 200 points, but the Nifty Bank that was showing some signs of a bit of a pullback, that's got sold into. It's down 100 points now as we speak. Yes Bank is the stock that's taken a bit of a knock, and Reliance Industries as well. Just when we thought we had a bit of a fight back that was on, that as well has moved virtually to the low point of the day, and that's why, in fact, the Nifty is struggling. We'll wrap up on the show. You do remember to keep sending us your queries by posting it on our Money Control message board.